Hey, hi, greetings, Leo. That's you over here. This is Tarot Lumination. It is your mini generic love and relationship report for the February 2019 season. Please watch for your sun, moon, and rising, especially if they're all different. Some people even watch for their Venus signs. There you go. Cards are already well shuffled in advance. Before we even go there, I want to do this. Please bear with me. Okay, you see this? This is the Terra Illumination Crucible spread. Da 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 da. So on the understanding that there's you, okay? You're always transmitting and radiating energy. There's the other doing the same thing, deep inside of you, deep inside of the other, and this third entity, which is its own thing. I think of this as the relationship itself, the crucible. So the whole thing, this whole thing is a living, breathing, pulsing entity, okay? And you guys own this, okay? Now, singles, if you want to, you can watch this too, but you have to allow for the laws of attraction. What are you putting out there? Beep, 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 beep. And what is being attracted back to you? Simple physics, okay? So in a really loving relationship, or let's say a very conscious relationship, both parties are aware of all of this, including the fact that this thing is a living thing and it radiates energy out there above and beyond and around you. Like if you've got kids, for example, they are very, very aware of this. Okay, so we're gonna dive into it. Card, 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 card. You'll see in just a moment. Okay. Now I'm going to go and shuffle a bit more. Cards were already well shuffled in advance, very well shuffled. We'd like to go to the last second so that you're a witness. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. I try to keep it really stripped down, bare bones, simple. And I feel like my job is basically like an interpreter. I'm watching some kind of very bizarre Netflix movie or something, and I'm trying to like spit out the subtitles as we go, and hopefully that will turn into something that would be like a little story for you guys that'll help you get through and understand some of this in ways that wouldn't happen unless you had watched this little video. Okay, so let's bless this deck, bless every single card, bless you, Leo, bless Terra Illumination. Please, Leo, invite your invisible friends to help you in this and all of this stuff. You have to understand, I'm asking this because Leo's, in some ways, you're under a lot of pressure this month. It is February. They call it the Aquarius season, and that happens to be, in terms of astrology, your opposition. I'm not going to dwell too much on the astro doodles here. There's a whole other playlist for that. Please check out that playlist. You can find it on the channel. Go to the playlists section. Okay, and that'll shed a lot more light on this reading than we can squash in here. I'm trying to keep these readings short and sweet for you. Otherwise, we'd end up here for 3 hours, all right? So, the thing is, okay, well, I'm just going to do it. Okay, here we go. So this is just stripped out. There's you, Leo, on the horizon, okay? And the thing that I'm pointing out here, this is the point of critical mass. February the 4th, the new moon in Aquarius. This is, they call it the 7th house, the house of open enemies, the house of marriage. Do I have to explain that? I hope not. So anyway, coming out of January 2019, you were already slammed with the very last of the Leo Aquarius eclipses for the Leo Aquarius nodal journey. Okay, it's over now, it's done, but the reverberations are still there. Okay, so you're coming into February probably feeling like you got dinged over the head with a frying pan. It's very possible. Okay, now when you get to the early parts of February and the Aquarius new moon, you could really actually, you could think of that as the beginning of a whole new year-long journey of what does relationship actually constitute for you now. All right. So it's kind of a big deal moment for you. All right, Leos. So let's just do this one last spin here. Just give me a second. I need to feel very, very comfortable here, and then we'll go for it. And you'll see how the cards laid out here match that little Terra Illumination piece of artwork. I think of it as artwork. Okay, let's bless this deck. Bless every single card. Bless you, Leo, for being here at all. And bless Terra Lumination and bless the channels. Bless the whole platform that we can even do this. So what are you radiating, Leo? Laws of attraction. Beep, 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 beep. And what are you receiving? Over here, what are they radiating? Leos also, by the way, you can watch this if you want to, if you're single. You have to understand the laws of attraction. You can watch videos about that. So what are you radiating? And in turn, what is being attracted back to you, bounced back to you? Laws of attraction in action, okay? Otherwise, let's just keep going. Let's say there's you, Leo, and somebody else, all right? Deep down inside of you, deep down inside of the other, and at the very core of the relationship itself. The relationship is a living, breathing thing. You guys own this, whether you like it or know it or not. A lot of people don't want to know, but it really helps if you do allow for a third entity and think of it as a business, something that you own, that you cherish, and that you nurture. And what is being fermented here? This whole thing is a living, breathing thing. And this is the crucible. This is the crucible, the bowl in which the relationship is conducted as we intimate and we separate, okay? Now, this whole thing radiates energy itself, okay? You see those little pink blobs here? Wow, 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 wow. That's it. That's what's happening. This thing is a living thing, all right? So what is there out there? Like, I think of it as circumstantial energy, environmental influences, call it the weather, and we have the Six of Wands. So there's something going on outside around you in your environment, which is reflecting back to you that you're doing something right, Virgo, that you've got some kind of, I feel what I'm feeling is the word dignity here, where perhaps it's about time, where you are acknowledged, received, and appreciated for who you are in the context of love and relationship. But I'm thinking it's above and beyond that. I feel that this is almost, in some ways, hardly anything to do with love and relationship at all. It's just about you being you and being appreciated and understood and celebrated for your own awesomeness. Okay, now how does that pan out? We'll see. Let's see how the story unfolds. Pretend you're watching a movie and I'm kind of like this interpreter, and I'm trying to read the subtitles and get them back to you so that it makes sense in some way. Okay, here we go. What are you radiating? King of Wands. Kablam. So my feeling is that you, Leo, at the core of yourself, and even in like, this is like all-encompassing energy where like body, mind, heart, and soul are all in unity here, and you are radiating and oscillating and sending out energy at the highest levels of integrity that you possibly can, where it's like it almost doesn't matter what happens in the rest of this story here. You're still okay, and you're going to be okay. It doesn't even matter what happens here. You still maintain your integrity, and it is your right and duty, obligation, and responsibility to maintain your passion, your integrity, your rights to be you, and not apologizing for that. Sometimes it's very hard to do that. Sometimes the crown is very, very heavy. Forget the gender. I'm just reading energy here. I'm not going to say, hey, Leo, you look like a really cool dude with red hair, and yeah, I don't do things that way. So my feeling is that with you kind of are in your element, okay? And I think this might have been triggered by that full moon eclipse just recently, where you realized you had to be in your element. You had to like put on your best attire. You had to put on your best version of yourself and live in that. In other words, being on full display in all of your glory, and also because you're a human being, you do have flaws, but people accept that. You know, people accept that great leaders, great people who have, magnanimous, kind, inspirational, generous energy, they are still flawed. Like if you encounter a situation which is uncomfortable, you would have the right and on the duty and the obligation to maintain your dignity. Like, if you have to pound your stomach and say, this is not acceptable. I'm sorry, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but certain things are not acceptable. Now, what are they radiating over here? Okay. So with the Knight of Cups, my feeling is that I feel this is very, very, very gentle energy, and that you're dealing with another over here who, in their own way, wants to recognize you and applaud you and celebrate love with you. And deliberately, it's like deliberately finding ways to walk away from conflict and step forward with deliberate intention to put love as the number one priority in their behavior towards you. Okay? Now that might be happening under very challenging circumstances, because this is like very glorious energy, and that's great. And it looks like they're acknowledging that, and they are appreciating that and understanding you at this level, and they have nothing but the best of love for you, which is great. So that's great on the surface. Let's have a look what's going on down here, deep down inside. Okay. What I'm feeling here is like a lot of this. Okay, like, I hope this works. Oh, I hope this really, really works. Because part of me is just like, it's really, really hard to do this. It's really hard to be this way all day, every day. Talk to any president, any corporate leader, any king, any person of extreme high ranking, high responsibility, and guidance, and having to be in a very public place where they are, let's say, where people are counting on them. And then deep down inside, as a human being, in the context of relationship, my feeling is you'd be thinking like, my gosh, I hope that I hope that I am everything that everybody believes me to be. I hope that I have all the guidance and protection and inspiration to live up to the reputation that everybody thinks that I have and that I am being appreciated for. Thank you very much. So I know it's a very strange way to interpret this card, but I have to give you my take on it. When I do these readings, it's like I'm watching a movie and I go with it like that, okay? So to me, there's a part of this energy here which is like, like this thing. I like to do this, and then I like to do this, and then the thing about crossing your legs and your arms and all that stuff. That's what I'm feeling here, is that it's just like you're like, oh my God, I hope this is real. I hope this actually works. And that the things that I'm feeling and sensing and the stuff that's coming to me in terms of appreciation, in terms of the love that's being presented to me from my environment and my whole world around me, the reflection that I'm getting back about me, about myself and my own magnificence is real. And it looks like, it's being validated here. It's like there's all they want is what's best for like you. I feel it's what they want is for you to know that you are loved, and that it's like they deliberately work on things in order to keep the love going. They're not interested in conflict, and how people actually thrive on toxic relationships. It's just awful. This is exactly the opposite of that. So let's have a look deep down inside of them. Okay. Okay, so this is highly contradictory energy, and that's what I'm sensing is from over here, because to me, this looks like there's a lot of really, really strong, like the energy of bravado, the energy of celebration, and everything in three-dimensional life, let's say coming from this aspect of love and relationship here, you and the other, and so on. And That's great because so many of us live our relationships between self and other, other and self without any consideration for the rest of this. But this is where we find out what's really going on. And when I see this card here, deep down inside a significant other, it looks like there's a very deep hidden message where it's almost like, my dear, dear, amazing, fantastic Leo, I love you so, so much. You have no idea. And I've always been that way, and I always find ways to surmount anything that is not loving and come back to that loving position. Okay? And I want you to know that you're kind of my hero in a way. Okay? And you're like, oh wow, that's so cool, thank you. But okay, I'm not trying to scare you, Leo, but seriously, we have to allow for what I think of as physics, the laws of nature, uh, all of that stuff that's happening right now. Because when I look at this, I'm sorry, after the Leo Aquarius full moon eclipse at the end of January, kerblam, and then over here, the new moon over here in Aquarius, kerblam, right over here in your seventh house, brand new beginnings of how are things going to go from here onwards. And there's this part of you which is like, I hope things work out. I hope things go the way that they should go, or that they should work for me because I'm so awesome. Whereas going right now below the surface into the guts and hearts and souls of each other is a very, very different storyline showing here, where you're a significant other over here. Okay, by the way, Leo, I have to say, this is not a couple's reading. Okay, it's all about you, and we're allowing for their energy how it interplays into this. All right, it's your, this is you. This is all about you. Okay, so over here, it's almost like what I'm sensing is that there are two stories happening simultaneously. The really, really sweet story and the story that nobody wants to talk about underneath the surface, where you are literally wondering like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's actually happening here. Because with the Queen of Swords here, uh, there's that energy of separation. Some people call it sterility, like the end of fertility. Like if you think of the Empress card for all that lusciousness, and this is like kind of the opposite of that. Some people see this as the divorce card, basically the healing power of no. But the thing is, I don't see anything malicious here. What I see is like a reality check coming from a significant other, where it's just like, some couples do that. They grow and evolve, and they reach a level of maturity where you have to literally applaud each other and applaud the relationship and the whole thing that you have and have shared together. But what goes forward from here? Remember, we're on a ticking clock. When we do these readings, we're allowing for this phenomenon called time. And with this thing happening right here, big changes, big shifts are inevitable, especially because of all the reverberations coming from the aftershocks of the eclipse at the end of January, the Leo Aquarius eclipse, okay? Right in your face. So now, with the sun and the moon coming into the place of maximum opposition to you, what I'm seeing is story number one, like this is glorious, this is wonderful, this is very noble, but deep down, the hidden message might be like, you might know all along that there's something very profoundly out of whack here, and that's going to change, and that you are facing the possibility of being delivered like what feels to me like not an ultimatum, but a very heartfelt and meaningful statement. It was like, um, certain things are no longer acceptable in our relationship. We have all this great stuff, but there are certain things that I can't handle anymore that are not acceptable for me. And I know that's going to impact you. And I'm not trying to hurt your feelings or insult you, but this is how it is. I only want what's best for you, for me, for us in the relationship. And certain things have to change. I'm not willing to tolerate this, 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 and this, and this anymore. And I'm not hurting your feelings. It's just that there are certain things that are going to change. I still love you anyway. Couples do that. Couples mature and grow and evolve, and they basically make it very clear that love still exists, but it's in a different form. Like things like intimacy fade away, the passion fades away, and then something else replaces it. You know, it happens with so many couples and relationships and people. What about the core here? It's absolutely founded on love. So Leah, you don't have to worry in that context. If let's just say this is like a very, very like honorable like discharge, like an honorable, like you know how like with all this like regality here, I'm thinking of sort of a military situation where things are done in a very formal, ornate way, where you are honored, they are honoring you. The relationship is unquestionably built on love, being loving and being loved. However, there are things going on which need to be acknowledged. Like if the relationship has reached a point of retirement where certain things are no longer acceptable and they can't go on as they are, and you just have to call it out as it is, and they are calling it out for you, and you're keeping your fingers crossed that it's like, I hope it's okay, I hope it's cool. You might not get the message that you want to hear, and you might be already aware that what you're hearing is like, it's not what you might want to hear, but it's happening anyway. Please allow for that, okay, Leo? Like with the Aquarius new moon over there, like I showed you over here, please allow for the energy of maximum opposition, maximum pressure, maximum. There's a reason why they call the seventh house the house of marriage and the house of open enemies. If you look at the history of relationships, like in the United States and many places where people get married, I mean, it takes an awful lot for people to get married. And then, so many times, apparently 50% of the time in America, the marriage turns out to be the biggest nightmare of your freaking life. And then people part company. Something that was so amazing becomes something horrific. And so we have to acknowledge that kind of dynamic here. But I don't see anything really egregious. I just think like serious reality checks going on here. And there's no question that love is at the core. It's just that things morph and change as people go along. And if you don't adapt and modify and mature and go along with it, then you're basically building a time bomb, which nobody wants. So what about over here? So with the little Four of Cups over here, my feeling is that it's like a reality check. It's like when it comes to the actual, let's say, come down to earth aspect. There's no pentacles here or anything, but I need to come back. I see this as a movie. So when I'm coming towards the conclusion of the movie here, what is being fermented? What is coming out of this? And remember, it's all about you, Leo, is like a certain sense of like a bit of remorse where it's almost like you probably knew deep down the storyline that we're talking about here, and about how things change and evolve and grow, and how love can exist above and beyond the carnal nature of love. And then you're left wondering, what happens now? What do we do now? A sense of remorse of like, just imagine you are some kind of magnificent person and you're receiving awards and celebrations and applaud and everything. And then the reality is that, okay, it's time to move on because this thing as we know it right now is over because of that last eclipse, and something brand new is going to begin. But there's no way to define what that new beginning is here. There's no cards to indicate any of that stuff. And so you'll end up in a situation of like being appreciated and loved and applauded, but deep inside wondering like, what did I do wrong? Where am I going wrong? What about all this? What about all that? What about all the love we have shared and everything like that? And the reality is it's not part of the conversation right now. And because this stuff has to be acknowledged. You can't just pretend everything is awesome all the time. And so you end up in a position where you have to, it's almost like being that person where you have to just look at yourself and go, wow, huh. You know that feeling you get like, wow, huh. Oh my gosh, I I had no idea. Like, yeah, I am loving and I am loved, but hmm. And so that puts you, I'm trying to do it with tone here. I'm trying to add some tone to the end of the story so that you're like, wow, is that really how the story ends? Or how we start the new chapter of my life? Okay? So don't forget, Leo, you've got a whole brand new tiny little miniature Ace of Cups here to start all over again. But it's going to be in a very new, different paradigm. Okay? I hope that makes sense. I hope I didn't scare you away or anything, Leo. Please watch for your sun, moon, and rising if they're all different. And please watch the Tarot Lumination Astrodoodle notes. That might add some more depth and richness to this. All the best, Leo. I know you can handle it. Don't you worry. Okay? This too shall change. Okay? Bye bye.